trudging up, down, left, right, line by line. It's a stand-up teardown now.
Hello, all you crazy cats and kittens out there in pod person land. Welcome back to another episode of Stand-up Teardown. I'm your host, Sean Fau, and joining me as always is my lovely assistant, Mr. Matthew Ballek.
Please clap. Thank you so much for having me and for having a sound effect at the ready.
Oh,
My
yeah.
Goodness. You asked me if I want to do the intro. How can I compete with that energy?
That's the
technology.
only energy I have. So, yeah, it's all downhill from here.
And cats and kittens. It's been bugging me. I'm like, who says that in their podcast all the time? Greg Proops.
Oh, really? Is that where I got that from? I feel like that's just a really old radio thing, but I used to listen to Greg Proops all the time, so that's certainly
That's
possible.
a good point. It is an
me.
old school radio thing, yeah. But I know he uses that all the time in his podcast open. So I'm like, are you the smartest man in the world podcast?
Not
listener?
in a while, but yeah, I definitely was for a time. Like, podcasts kind of cycle for me, you know, like I find, you know, people kind of start rehashing the same bits over and over again. So, you know, after a while you kind of cycle to someone else and then cycle back occasionally. But yeah, that's just the way of the world. I'm sure people do it to us too, where, you know, the five people that watched our first episode might come back in 20 episodes. So who knows?
Yeah, depending where they're at on their cycle.
Indeed. Well, yeah. Let's take a look at our first comedian here. Or comedian, sorry. This either way, it's a dude, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you bungled it.
That's what we do here. So yeah. What do you know about this dude?
Other than his name, Adam Muller, I know very little. This was a special that I found, again, searching for stand-up comedy specials on YouTube. These are all fairly recent, within the past couple months. So I know that this is like a sharp-witted, sort of rising stand-up comedian. He has a law degree from Columbia Law School and, you know, good experience in the finance industry. So should be some gut busting happening.
Yeah, it sounds like good old accountant comedy.
Exactly, you know, that tired trope.
Exactly, yeah. All right, well, let's see what the fuck this thing does. Coming with the energy.
Accounting energy, finance energy.
Wow. Yeah, how is everybody feeling about global warming? How you feeling? I think about global warming the same way I think about my receding hairline, right? Like, people tell me it's happening, I'm pretending it's not. And my solution for both is exactly the same, a hat. I don't think electric vehicles are the answer either, by the way. I think they're like part of the answer. I think if you have an electric vehicle, it's like half environmental and half virtue signaling. Right? Because in a couple of years, we're going to start seeing those headlines about a 500-foot tall pile of old Tesla lithium-ion batteries just leaching toxins into the groundwater. And the headline in the Flint, Michigan Gazette's just going to be like, fool me once.
All right, yeah, man. Already, I'm on board. He came in with the energy. He's keeping it up. We're chugging along. Dug right in, and you know, didn't have that awkward sort of intro that a lot of the, you know, up and coming comedians seem to have.
Yeah, I felt like it was like a form of like hypnosis after the initial opening. He's like, yeah, and global warming, and now you're hooked in, and like it was in a trance for like the first couple of bits because. Yeah, well, I'm definitely in.
It's that like that persistent sort of cadence that just kind of like hooks you and sort of keeps you going. So
yeah, I'd say it's Seinfeldian in nature a little bit.
I'd beg to differ, but they're both good. So I just feel like Seinfeld
is a hot topic right now.
Well, yeah, but Seinfeld is just a lot like lower energy in general. He's a little bit more of a drony, sort of drawn out delivery. Yeah. Where this guy is just kind of a, you know, let's hit the road and keep on trucking.
It's good to be here on the 2023rd anniversary of December 7th. I wrote that joke just for you guys. That won't work tomorrow. I should also acknowledge that today Today's also the 82nd anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. And this is wild. You guys probably don't know this, but it's also, this is crazy. Today is also the 2nd anniversary of the 80th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. Crazy.
Accounting jokes.
I'll tell you, that's the hardest joke I've ever had to workshop. Last couple of months, I've been doing that joke all over the country. They just think I don't know what day it is. It's wild. How crazy is that to write a joke that only works on one day? And that day happens to be when you're taping a special. What are the chances? If this goes well, this will be my 2nd comedy special. Yeah. Oh. If it doesn't go well, it'll be my 5th. We'll see what happens. In case you haven't seen the first one, I'm going to do a quick recap just to like level set the room so we all have the basic information.
I don't think I've ever seen a comic do previously on.
Do on TV, you know, like last season on Emily in Paris, right? I watch for the fashion. So a quick recap, I grew up in Canada, moved to America, got a master's degree at MIT, worked on Wall Street as an investment banker for a decade, and then became a comedian. Yeah, so now when someone asks me like, hey Adam, how's it going? I'm just like, according to plan. Plan B. Like, I started doing stand-up comedy when I was pushing 40. That's not a plan A move. That's more like starting to eat kale during the heart attack. Like, it'll help you if you make it first, I think. You know? I don't know, though. Maybe it's just that I've never had a plan. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like at any point in my life, if you asked me where I thought I'd be in 3 years, I don't think I ever would have gotten that question right. Like, if someone were to ask me today, Adam, where do you see yourself in 3 years? I'd be like, I don't know, but probably wearing a hat.
Nice callback.
Yeah, it's tight callback there. Yeah,
seems-
everything's very tight. It's part of the whole routine thus far.
Yeah, it seemed like he was kind of losing a little energy, but I think it was more just like letting the audience catch up to him.
Right.
I'm jealous of people that have
background here.
What's that?
No, I'm still like over in the background like segment of the show, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
was also saying like this guy definitely has his jokes like in a spreadsheet before he
Absolutely.
like dished into this at 40. Like I got the spreadsheet, I got it by tab. You know?
Yeah, like planning out exactly where the callback goes, and like, yeah, I feel like it's it seems very meticulous already.
Mm-hmm.
Know what they wanted to do? You know, that have always had a plan. Like when I went to college, I showed up my freshman year, 17 years old. The first guy I met, he already knew he wanted to be a heart surgeon. Oddly specific, but he had a goal, right? And then I barely saw him for 4 years because he worked so hard. He was always in the lab or the library, just laser focused. And unfortunately, his story has a bit of a tragic ending. He's a dentist now. I was talking about him with a friend of mine. My friend was like, I would never go see some backup plan dentist. I was like, I hate to break it to you, but I think most of them are. I read recently dentists have one of the highest suicide rates of any profession. Yeah, I read that and I just thought, good. It's okay. 4 out of 5 dentists love that joke. And the 5th one killed himself. It's fine.
Nice
Suicide's
tag on that.
hilarious.
I live here in New York, but I grew up in Canada, which means I'm an immigrant, but no one can tell. I'm American passing, right? I only mention that I'm Canadian on stage or if I'm losing an argument about healthcare. Or if I travel overseas, I kind of mention it, but... I moved to America like 20 years ago, and I came here for the same reason most immigrants do, sex trafficking. And...
It's almost a Kevin Nealon sort of subliminal
guy.
Yeah, but like he's got to barrel through it a little bit more to pull that one off, I think. Like he does it, but then he waits for the laugh, which kind of almost ruins it.
Yeah, it's really tight in between jokes. So even though they're not all like heavy hitters,
Yeah,
I think it's got a good like pacing to it.
Yeah, it's the energy that sees it through, essentially, between jokes or the transitions there.
I just don't think Americans see Canadians as immigrants. And I think it's because Americans see Canadians as non-threatening. Right? Yeah, it's a weird spot to laugh. Right? Non-threatening, healthy, white. Like if oat milk was a person. Look, I think what I'm trying to say is you can be part of a historically marginalized group, but still you yourself have privilege. Right? White women? Look, a lot of immigrants that come to America it's a struggle. It wasn't a struggle for me. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I didn't come here on a raft. I didn't climb a fence. I took JetBlue. I just had to decide to trade healthcare for don't care. The biggest adjustment for me was just getting off the metric system. I weigh twice as much here.
Another math joke.
I keep jogging too far.
Right.
And it takes forever for water to boil. On the other hand, a lot of women used to be intimidated by 22 centimeters. Someone's gonna do that conversion. Put your phone away, sir. I'll save you the trouble. 22 centimeters. It's 0.000167 miles. My neighbor found out recently I'm from Canada. He goes, "Oh, you're Canadian. No wonder you're so polite." I was like, "That's a stereotype." He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I was like, "Well, now it's cultural appropriation." I grew up in Western Canada in Alberta, and if you don't know Alberta, it's the Texas of Canada. It's got cowboys and oil and a 1,000-kilometer unsecure border with Montana. Montana, or as my dad says, Canada's Mexico. Or as the Mexicans say, we tunneled too far. I think people assume that I had like a plan in life because I went to MIT. I think people hear that I went to MIT and they're impressed. And they should be. There's a
See, now that's a good place to pause. Like that's where you fucking preen. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Matt Damon wasn't a janitor at Yale. Right, it feels like some of you didn't get them apples, but and that's fair because it's a reference from a 90s movie. If you didn't get that joke, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. The most common question I get after a show from an audience member is, did you really go to MIT? But the funniest question I've ever gotten was, did you know you wanted to do stand-up comedy when you went to MIT? What? Like, wanting to do stand-up comedy and going to MIT, that would be like wanting to do porn and going to MIT. Like, you don't go to MIT to do porn. You do porn so you can afford to go to a school that's probably not MIT. Probably like Harvard or Yale or something.
again, a great place to stop and preen.
Duke. I didn't go to MIT to do stand-up comedy. I went to MIT for the women. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the whole joke. When I went to MIT, it was like my class was 17% women, which is terrible, terrible. But every year they send me the updated information when they ask me for money. But they send me the updated information once a year, and now it's up to 48% women, which is great, right? It's almost parity. It makes it sound like they've done this like Herculean recruiting effort to get more women to apply. But actually, all the admissions office did was get rid of the driving test.
Such a long way to go for that.
Yep.
Okay, look, some of these are jokes. Not that last one, but like some of the others have been jokes. My second day of class at MIT, it was a beautiful Tuesday, not a cloud in the sky, and that day some terrorists flew planes into the World Trade Center. Some of you probably remember. If you don't remember, I guess the slogan didn't work. But they canceled class that day, and no one wanted to be alone. So we all went to this one apartment and just sat there watching the coverage in shock and horror, trying to understand what had gone on. And I'll tell you what, that day changed my life forever. Because I had an epiphany. I think it was after the first tower fell. I just thought to myself, oh my God, I should go into finance. They'll be hiring.
Jesus.
And I know that's dark. That's a dark but honest and vulnerable thought. Sometimes you gotta zig when everyone else zags.
Yeah, he's definitely lost a little bit of the pacing, but he's still chugging along. And cerebral dark comedy. Like,
Yeah, no, that's a good like categorization of it. But yeah, I'm still liking it. Like he's got a good confidence and persona on stage. I could see him like getting scooped up if he's not already like on a sitcom writer or an SNL or like doing Punch Up or something. Just
absolutely.
Yeah, it's like very like analytical, surgical with some of his jokes.
Yeah, in the like, yeah, that's sort of. I like that he's not like spoon feeding or like over explaining, or he's trusting the audience to get a lot of it. Like he's pointed out a few times of like, you might not get that, but then like hammers it again with with the follow up Good Will Hunting reference and things like that. Like just I feel like so many comedians these days are sort of babying to the audience, and I'm not getting that from him. He's not talking down to you. He's assuming that you're on his level, even though he went to MIT.
Yes, and that's definitely the through line for this special. But I guess it says that's who he is. So
yeah,
it's gonna have a lot of these at MIT bits, but
right on.
Yeah, a lot of topics. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, shall we like move on to the next? I would say, yeah.
Right on.
I was enjoying that, but yeah, I can get sucked into that for another 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. I don't want to watch his whole show, but I probably will go back and watch most of it. But
Let me
what
pull
do
up.
we have up next?
That is a great question. This would be Kim Congdon.
King Kong?
Congdon.
Ah.
Like Congdon.
Right on. What do we know about her?
Difficult to say.
Or is it her?
It is a her, yes. A dynamic stand-up comedian, a notable figure in the stand-up comedy scene, known for her bold, unapologetic humor and vibrant stage presence. Originally from L.A. And a bunch of credits that I'm not going to read off all of them.
Like stand-up credits? Or
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Right on. All right, let's see what she's got.
Sometimes I'm...
Whoop, wrong button. Let's see what she's got.
You guys fucking look good tonight. Everybody looks really nice. Beautiful couple over here. Together a long time. You can tell. You can always tell. I get so weird when I like a guy. I don't like who I become when I have a crush on a guy. I completely change. I do things that are not me at all. Like the other day, the guy that I have a crush on, he posted a meme, and the meme said, "Girls with the best pussy have the smallest TVs." I thought it was funny too. Then the next day, I uploaded a picture of myself watching Netflix on my Apple Watch. I was like, it's my big screen. My eyes. It hurts. Yeah, I get weird. I don't even know how long I should wait to have sex with a guy when I like him. I know that there is a scale that I feel like is appropriate. I feel like that's anywhere between like 10 minutes and a month and a half. I think that's good. That gives everyone time, right? Like, I can't stand when a bitch brags about waiting, like, longer than that. We've all met that girl, right? She's like, we've been dating 3 months and we haven't even had sex yet. I want to be like, bitch, you haven't had sex yet. Why do you think he's been so patient? Stupid. Men are so horny, especially when you first start dating them. When you first start dating a guy, you gotta fuck him all the time. You gotta fuck him like 5 times a day. You know, I see it. She's looking at me like a prisoner of cum.
That's a good choice going to the audience for that, to like spice that one up.
Certainly, yeah, not bad so far. A little bit of a certainly a slower energy than the last guy we were looking at here. The female comedians going directly to sex is a little bit of a played out trope in my mind, but
It's a cliche.
it seems to be very much so. I don't know if it's I mean, she might have other material, and that's, a sort of universal place to start, obviously. So, you can't falter too much. But, especially like, I don't know, it almost feels like a thirst trap for, a fairly attractive female comedian to just immediately start talking about sex, because it's, I don't know, it just feels like OnlyFans-ish a little bit. But, the jokes are solid or decent enough at least, so it's not overwhelmingly annoying yet.
But I believe it's going to be the subject of the entire special, because I think it is going to like hinge on her being kind of a single female. So, and a bold one at that.
Do you know anything, or are you just assuming based on what we've seen so far?
I'm just basically assuming on what the title of the special was.
Oh, yeah.
Failing to remember it right now.
Yeah. Men are like newborns, apparently. All right, let's see what you got.
When you first get with a dude, you gotta treat him like a newborn. You gotta wake up every 2 hours, pop a titty in their mouth, put them back to sleep. And once they're sleeping, you can't move. You have to crawl out of the room, right? Because if you wake them up, you gotta take out the other titty. She fucking knows, dude. That's God's rules, not mine. Blame him. Fuck, man.
Good, like an analogy joke.
Yeah. It plays.
At least an example of one.
Yeah, no, it's again, they're not horrible jokes. It's just kind of a very trod through subject matter at this point, I think. I mean, people have been having sex for a few billion years, so there's not a whole lot new there.
We'll see.
True. Maybe I'm not doing it right.
I stopped doing it. I did. People were getting so mad at me. It was doing great in black rooms, but people do not like when you talk about small dicks at comedy shows. It makes the room really tense. It does. Feel that? Everyone's like, stop talking about small dicks. Those are the shooters. I'm like, yeah, blanks. I'm not saying that every dude with a small dick is a mass shooter. That would be crazy. I'm just saying I don't feel like mass shooters have hogs. They got to get through those hallways fast. They got to hit 102, 103, the playground, the nurse's office. Can't forget the nurse's office.
I feel like that stretch was mostly like pity laugh. I don't know. The leading in with the long pause to sort of almost manufacture the awkwardness that she wanted to talk about was, I think, sort of almost detrimental to the rest of what was going on there.
Yeah, I had a good couple of laughs throughout that string or that chunk. I would say I was just sort of really like zoning off because it had sort of like a confident stoner vibe. So it sounds like someone's just like smoking and telling you a story about something.
Yeah, more of a pontification than a performance.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's got a chill presentation.
Very much so, yeah. Again, as juxtaposed to the previous guy, it's, much more low-key energy here.
I don't fuck with mass shootings.
It's good to know.
They're not my thing.
Like the way she laughs and stuff in between, or like her little asides, is why it just has that sort of smoking in a circle vibe or something.
Oh yeah, totally. Laughing at your own joke sort of thing.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fix them, but I know that arming teachers, I don't think that's the solution. I know it's very controversial, but please follow along. Why would we arm teachers if we can't trust them not to fuck the students? One thing at a time, people. They're like in cahoots with the Catholics. It's crazy. Now I gotta worry about my son getting shot because he didn't take his teacher to prom. No. I'm not doing it.
That's a solid joke. I think the sort of presentation and pronunciation there was a little bit like, I don't know, droll or just dry.
I can see that.
Like she's almost like ashamed of her own joke there. It just, I don't know, didn't quite. It didn't get the laugh that it probably deserves. At least not from me.
Yeah, I just like the turn of it because she had sort of a nice like misplaced focus. I think is like the move where you sort of like take an angle that like no one's like immediately thinking of for the topic.
Yeah, always a comedic sleight of hand almost.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have kids, but if I did, I'd be worried. Anybody have young kids in here? Clap it up. You got some young kids. Yeah, how old? 8 and 4. Holy shit. Yeah, that's a scary age. Around 4 or 5 is scary. They speak full sentences, but they don't know what's embarrassing. It's a dangerous combo. It's bad, right? Like your kid's probably at the grocery store. He's like, my mom has a bush.
That was with the sex, but
What's that?
I said, yeah, always with the sex joke.
Yeah. Always comes back to that. Again, the sex jokes can certainly be funny, but it's it's almost like airplane jokes at this point. Like it's really hard to find a new spin on things or a novel take on it. Like again, it's just it just seems like low effort sort of comedy mostly. Not necessarily her, but just sex jokes in general. It's like shit and fart jokes, any of the scatological stuff is just like, yeah, all right, I get it.
Yeah, it can be sort of like swearing in jokes where it's swear that gets the laugh more so than the joke itself. Sometimes like sex jokes would be that, but I think it's just part of like the persona and part of who she is as a single woman. So it's going to be a part of the routine.
Sure, yeah. I mean, like I said, some people can really make it work, and some people are just retreading airplane jokes. But.
When the Lakers lose, my dad pulls my mom's hair.
No, thank you. That is humiliating. Kids just do that, dude. And I remember being embarrassing when I was younger, too. I remember my mom taking me to one of those places where the water shoots up out of the different holes in the ground. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? The little splash pads? Yeah. I was so excited, I ran out, and I guess I sat directly on top of one of the streams. And I kind of just hung out for a while. And my mom noticed, and she was like, oh my God, Kim, go find someone to hang out with. Go find something else to do. And I yelled back in front of everybody. I was like, no, it feels good.
Comedian origin story here.
Yeah. I feel like there's a much better punchline there. Like, that was way too obvious. And she was, talking about the really weird shit kids say, and like, that's just seems like a super basic way to put that. Like we already
like
knew that's why she was sitting there.
Transition, but yeah, I guess. But then like to say it out loud maybe is like a bit of a callback to the kids saying full sentences out loud, but not being embarrassed.
Yeah, I suppose.
But yeah, I think she's got some more tags maybe on it.
We'll see.
She ran over, grabbed my arm, took me home because she was so embarrassed. And because I had to get ready for prom later that night.
That helps.
That helps.
Thank you. I remember the most embarrassing moment in my life. It was in the 4th grade. My best friend, Nikki, she had gotten a boyfriend, and I was so jealous of her. And I asked her, I was like, how did you get a boyfriend? And she told me that she wrote a note telling him she wanted to kiss him on the playground, and she put it in his backpack. And then he kissed her, and they were boyfriend and girlfriend. I was like, I'm going to do that. So I had this kid, Ricky, that I had a crush on for years, for such a long time. I was obsessed with him, and I was like, I'm gonna put a note in his backpack. I wrote the note, I put it in his backpack, and the next day I waited by the playground. And Ricky never showed up. He didn't, I know. But these two little girls did. They were so excited to hurt my feelings. I did. They came running right up, and they were like, Ricky, let us read your note. Yeah, and then they were like, and he doesn't want to kiss you because you have a mustache. I know. And the worst part was I didn't even know. No one told me. So I didn't get a boyfriend, and I did have to keep the mustache because my mom didn't let me do anything about it. And it was really embarrassing for me, actually. It really fucked me up. I feel like it has affected me as an adult. Like I don't like to hit on guys. I am scared of getting rejected and stuff like that. But I do feel like I've done such cool shit because of it. I feel like it's made me braver. Like last month, I actually sold out my first show in my hometown, and guess who was there? Yeah, thank you. And guess who showed up? No one, and I still had a mustache. But it's fine. Everything's cool. I'm done. The day.
I feel like she dropped the ball a little bit there.
Yeah, I was going into this like empowerment territory, and then just kind of deflated. Not a pop at the end there.
Yeah, not a pop at the end, and like even the lead up was like, I don't know, there just seems to be like missing elements there. Like there were just opportunities for just a few more peppered in little punchlines there to build up to a nicer punchline. But like, again, it seems like she just kind of got like deflated by her own act.
That's a good way of putting it.
Is enough. I've tried dating everywhere too. I lived in LA, New York. Dating in LA, I don't like it. Every dude in LA looks like he eats pussy out of a mason jar. Like, no offense.
What the fuck does that mean? All right, maybe she'll explain.
Laughing at the visual of it makes me laugh.
Yeah, I don't even know if I can be offended by that. Like, I don't know. I don't. All right.
None of them look like they have calluses on their hands. One time I said that at a show in LA, and everybody was quiet, and I was like, "Oh, you guys don't know what calluses are."
Oh, is that just like a delicate joke then? Is that like, is a mason jar a fancy place to have your pussy? I don't.
I don't know. Or yeah, just because you can lift it up, or
yeah,
I really don't.
You don't actually have to interact with it. It's just kind of it's contained.
The word combination is all I needed. And then the visual it creates. Like I don't know what that means, but
yeah, it certainly creates. But it's like it's more just confusing than it is funny. Like it is amusing, but it's
the rest of the bit.
Exactly. Yeah. It's almost like distracting from kind of everything else. This like weird sort of visual that she set up, but. I don't know. Well, let her play it out a little bit longer, see what happens.
Things, they show up when you work hard. And they just stared at me. I was like, oh, you don't know what working hard is. Okay. I don't like it. I don't even like the way that dudes in LA hit on you. Like, it's just not. Like, a dude in LA will be like, hey, girl, I like the way those jeans fit on you. Can I borrow them? Like, no. I'm good on that. New York's not any better either. The last time I saw a hot guy in New York, I was leaving, and this dude was so good looking. He was walking right up towards me. He was like 6'2", green eyes, so handsome. He looked at me, I looked at him, and he went, move. I was like, move what? I'll do whatever. I can't date a bi guy. Because it's kind of gay. What do you want me to say? It's more gay than not. It is. You dabble in pussy. You fucked a chick once, you're like, maybe another time. That's gayer. That's like if gay was gay. I'm too jealous to date a bi guy anyways. I'm Puerto Rican. Clap if you've dated a Puerto Rican. They're dead. They were murdered. We're jealous girlfriends. We are. I am a jealous girl. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. I don't even like if a dude has too many pigeons outside his window. I'm like, who are you sending messages to? No bonfires, no smoke signals. Sometimes I'll get in a guy's car and see where his Wi-Fi connects. Like, I am jealous. That's why I can't date a guy that's bi. Too jealous. Because then if I'm dating a guy that's bi, then I have to worry about girls and AIDS. I'm kidding. It's HIV.
Really cut to the audience for that one.
Yeah, and like, there have been a couple of moments where like the audience reaction is what's the funny part, but she's slowly winning me over, but it's again like it's just that sort of pacing and that style of like the droney voice and like the just kind of like again that like slow meandering sort of stoner pontification rather than a stage presence.
Yeah, there's a lot of looking at the ground or at her feet in between or even during some of the jokes and punchlines. But then when she gets a bit more confident or a bit more laughs, you see her like go up and start like looking directly at the audience and engaging more. Like when she did that whole like run on like not dating a bi dude, like you can see she like, oh, we got some momentum going. And it was like really looking at the audience the whole time.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it feel more like an experience than a style. Like if she, was a little bit more consistently shoegazy or a little bit more consistently audience engaging, I would feel like it was, her professional style. But I feel like she's just not quite had enough mic time to develop like, who she truly is. And like most stand-ups say it takes like 10 years of being on the mic to, really develop who you are as a comic.
So not meant to be a dig in any way.
It's just all about
hours. Put in,
Yep.
Malcolm Gladwell.
Exactly, yeah. Get them 10,000. Let's give her a little bit longer.
I wish I could date women. That would be fun. Any lesbians in the house? Hell yeah. Oh, front row, of course.
The single clap. it's so beautiful.
They're just like... Hell yeah. I should have known the blue hair. And the fucking lesbian stance and face. I wish I could, dude. I wish I could, because lesbian sex looks awesome. It looks like dolphins hugging. It looks sweet. It's like if Lisa Frank made sex. It's awesome.
What's Lisa Frank?
Lisa Frank?
Yeah.
It's some sort of like, oh gosh, is it like fashion accessories or some sort of like, I don't know, am I thinking of like
a Kate Spade sort of thing?
Maybe.
Right on.
Yeah.
A reference that's beyond dudes. Yeah, exactly.
It's these dudes.
I would date a woman if I could, because you guys are mean to us. Guys, you are. And I understand why, because after my last breakup, I was so fed up with men that when I went on my dating app, I switched from men to women. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was the devil, but I immediately became a misogynist. I don't know what happened, but I switched from men to women, and I was like, no fat chicks. Oh God, no. 18 to 24. I was like, no! Oh, everyone's beautiful. Oh. I just switched back. I was like, I don't like who this is anymore. So I get it.
That's a good one. The audience reeling a little bit.
Yeah. She started off a little clunky there, but she definitely won me over after a while. But again, still, it's not like it's not my favorite sort of comedy like that. Again, that's sort of just
favorite comedy flavor.
Well, yeah, and again, it's more just the stage presence, like that meandering between like being very unsure of yourself and very vulnerable, I guess, but like not in the comedy, just in like posture and like timing. It just it's a little, I don't know. I think I like a little bit more forceful comedian, or a little bit more polished presence, as we've talked about before.
Yeah, you think it's like a time stretching tactic as well?
Yeah, a lot of it. Again, that's most of my problem with like the tropes and you know the crutches in general is that it just feels like it is more stretching than it is you know a polished you know hammering of jokes.
Yeah, it has to do with like a full hour special too, which I feel like we're starting to see them get shorter progressively, like down to half hours or 45 minutes.
Oh, just specials in general?
Yeah, just because like to pace out the full hour, you can't go like hard the whole time, or else you're going to exhaust the audience, or they're going to not be able to keep up. Like there has to be like lulls of jokes that like aren't as heavy hitting to like build back up to the crazy punchline. So yeah, I think it's maybe a way to like pace things out, slow things down a bit, so you know, exhaust the audience.
I suppose. Just kind of made me start thinking that, like, you know, even like all the comedy that we grew up with, so much of it was TV based that like an hour special was probably actually 45 minutes of content when you add in commercial breaks and stuff. So like, you know, maybe things aren't even getting that shorter. It's just, it's taking up less of our time because we've cut out commercials.
Yeah, and we have so many that we can just pop over to, like it's competing with every great television show in existence.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
It's like between like stand-up specials now, and it's, I guess, yeah, they definitely do hit different on a Netflix or like on a screen than they do if you're like in the crowd or in the audience of a stand-up show.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can't change the channel. You can't just flip over to another comedian like that. I mean, that's just kind of the general state of media and content that we're in, though. Like, you know, if a show doesn't grab you in the first 10 minutes, you've got, you know, 20 pages of Netflix to scroll through to find something else, whatever it is you're looking for. So it's, I feel like there's more opportunity these days because everything is so sort of democratized, but like you almost have to start hitting home runs sooner because otherwise people are just going to tune out and find something else immediately.
Yeah, I think that's why we're seeing a lot of specials like cut the intro theatrics and just go like right to grabbing the mic and going right into the first bit.
That's true. Yeah, like the opening skit used to be a lot more prominent and a lot more like consistent in a lot of specials.
Yeah, I think they have that data, especially through Netflix, where it's like if you got them for 2 minutes, you got them for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So like get the first two solid, so then at least they'll hang on for 5 more. You know?
Yeah, get those good jokes out. Don't do a sketch about, you know, finding the best pizza place in New York or something, and then, you know, wandering into the comedy club or whatever. Like, I feel like that was kind of a.
Right.
That seems like a very common old school trope of just like wandering the street and doing random shit and then wandering into the comedy club. Oh, there's an audience here. I guess I'll grab the mic. You know, seems like a lot of that is gone these days, which probably is for the best.
I'm for it. Yeah.
Let's just get to it. Fuck. So who do we got up next here? Mr. Joe Zimmerman?
Yeah, let me pull up what I got on Joe Zimmerman. This is another blind one. I think this one was maybe directed by Nate Bargatze. You familiar with that?
It sounds like a familiar name, but I can't place it. I'm like,
I like him.
Right on.
I haven't put any of his clips on our show yet, but he's definitely pro. And he's already directing other stand-up specials. So this is, I'm thinking more of originally from West Virginia. So this was filmed in, I believe, like near Nashville, Tennessee. So I'm guessing, I don't know,
some redneck comedy here.
Bit more folksy. That's
a blue collar comedy special here.
No, I think it's going to be pretty sharp stuff, like observational.
You might be a redneck.
I mean, one can only hope. But Joe, I mean, he's been on the Tonight Show.
R.I.P. Foxworthy.
Oh, I know. Yeah. What happened to Foxworthy? Really?
I think he just cashed out. Well, no, actually, I think they're just, you know, working the arenas. Like, I think he still sells shows out. So, I don't. From what I hear, like most of the established stand-ups are doing better on the road than they would if they were doing movies or TV shows, which like used to be the goal, but now just like owning your career is kind of just a more lucrative move. So I think just because we're not necessarily hearing these names readily in the media that we consume doesn't mean that they're not, you know, selling out arenas across Alabama and, you know, Texas or whatever.
Well, that does give me some hope, but it's I'm gonna have to keep eyes on this and get back to you with the true update.
Right on, yeah. Let's see if Foxworthy's still touring. Foxworthy Hunt 2024. God damn it, Fox Hunt. That's what I meant.
Thank you,
Right there.
Asheville. Best crowds in the world right here in Asheville, North Carolina. And I say
Asheville, I
that
think it's the
everywhere I
Nashville.
go. I was just
It's the lesser Nashville.
Atlanta. I was like, best crowds in the world, Asheville, North Carolina. That's right. They're like, why would you tell us that? It's just the truth, you know? So it's good to finally be here where I'm not immediately booed for what I have to say. So nice.
That's a nice little play on an old trope there. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like getting booed as your first line at all your other shows until you're there.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's great to be in wherever is, you know, such a standard opening comedy thing. And like, to go that direction again, you know, the comedic misdirection, you know, setting up an expectation and paying it off in a different vein.
Yeah, and it's just silly, like visual doing that, getting booed across the country. So I love it.
I love Asheville. It's the only place where I've seen a redneck and a hippie, and it's the same person. Like, is that a tie-dye gun holster? I think the drum circle just played Freebird. Wow. Feels good. Feels nice.
I feel like those jokes would land better if anyone knew where Asheville was. Like, it's just not a, you know, common place to talk about.
Yeah, I only know because I think I've driven through, so I know it's pretty crunchy, pretty granola.
Right on.
A lot of hippies,
Like
a lot
the
of
Portland
bike
of the
friendliness.
Yeah, Portland of the East. Or, well, I guess there's a Portland on both sides, so whatever. Doesn't matter.
I've been told I give off the energy of an emotional support animal,
Accurate.
which is unfortunate because I am going full throttle. This is 1,000% of my energy. Very excited. So I hope y'all will match my energy with significantly more energy than me. See a lot of familiar faces. Some friendly faces. Couple haters, but a lot of friendly faces. I saw some people rolling in late. I'm a late person myself, and the early people do not like us. The early people say, you being late means you don't respect my time, which is such an early person thing to say. Like me being late has anything to do with you. I'm not late because I don't respect your time. I'm late because I was doing something more important.
So I think this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier. Like, he's certainly much slower and, even got the droniness, but he's got like a stage presence that makes it okay somehow. Like, he's comfortable with his slowness and calls it out and is very aware of it and sort of like has embraced it as a style more so than like the last girl we were watching, which was like, it felt more like she just wasn't comfortable, not that it was a style sort of thing, you know?
That's a good point. If she had like a bit where she recognized like how she talks in that way, like that could be a funny area to go down. But I was gonna say, yeah, the fact that he like mentions that like this is about as energetic as I get, like it was a nice, like recognition of it.
Yeah, but also that he's staying
That's
he's staying consistent with it too. Like it's not ebbing and flowing. It's not like changing with the audience reaction at all. It's just this is who this guy is, and he's continually presenting it on stage.
Yeah, and it's slower, but he's not like disconnecting with the audience. You
Right.
can see like when he's not talking, he's still like either smiling in a funny way or like making eye contact with someone different in the audience.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's awkward pauses. I just feel like it's slower.
I was showering for a long time, and I forgot you existed. Briefly. Just briefly. But I respect you. My dad will show up an hour early and text, "Here, no rush," which should be illegal. That is a devastating text to receive. But I had a good pandemic. I got into wasn't for everyone, but I got into sports gambling over the pandemic, and a lot of people say that's addictive, but to me it's just kind of a rush like no other. It's not addictive. I mean, sure, sometimes I'll engage in short-term stimulus despite long-term adverse results. It's not addictive. It's just something that engages my mind night and day and ruins my relationships.
Rule of threes and definitions definitely. It works, especially with that. Like, he makes that slowness work for him, which is a skill in and of itself, really.
Absolutely.
I finally called one of those 1-800-GAMBLER numbers. They were like, "I bet you won't quit." I was like, "You're on." Lost $40, but I really started messing around with early bedtime, and that is addictive. Start cozying up at 10. You're like, "Where's this been?" 10 is the gateway to 9:30. Next thing I know, I'm curling up at 8:45. Your friends are like, "Where you been, Joe?" You're like, "Busy." Super busy. I got good relationships and stuff.
He's got like a Sleepy Gary vibe to him. Just kind of all plays together into that bit.
8 p.m. is the overdose of early bedtime. That's when you've gone too far. You wake up 3 refreshed. Walk the streets in the night with the other addicts and criminals. Trying to make new friends. Looking in the coffee shop window, 2 more hours. Then maybe I can help them open.
Smiles to the audience are great.
Yeah, it was almost laughing at his own joke, but like, I don't know. I'll forgive it.
Weed was legalized in New York City, and I finally started trying weed gummies. I think I'm the only person that's like, sure, I'll do weed as long as it's no longer cool. Weed gummies, gateway into regular gummies. Yeah. Wow. They taste good. I forgot how good they taste. Now I'm eating weed gummies, regular gummies, vitamin gummies. I'm a gummy boy now, and it's tough. It's a lot of gummy. Doing a lot of gummies. And it is more fun to say you're doing gummy vitamins. Yeah, you want to come over, do some C? We could do E. I got fish oil, make your eyeballs slippery.
That's a weirdly specific joke.
This is just hitting, my target demographic perfectly because I have all these vitamins.
Yeah. I mean, didn't everyone stock up on vitamins during the pandemic? Like, that's feels like a very universal sort of topic to dive into. But I haven't. It's
true, yeah.
I mean, it's not a trope. It's just like, hit upon a good sort of, everyman sort of topic. Or maybe it was just the conspiracy theory guys out there that were stocking up on fucking vitamin D and shit. But,
Yeah, they're selling more vitamins or
Well, that's
commercials
a whole
for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was loving that bit. I didn't realize how funny it is to hear someone say gummies so many times.
It's the doing gummies I think is what really sells it. But again, repetition is humor. That is certainly a well trod area. But there's like that thing where you say a word over and over again until it no longer has a meaning to it, or it just isn't the same word anymore. And I feel like you kind of hit that perfect amount of like where gummies just didn't even mean gummies anymore.
Totally.
Do some supplements, GABA, tryptophan, melatonin, getting better at 8. Dude. Last time I took melatonin, I almost didn't wake up. That was nuts, dude. Love melatonin, dude. If marijuana is a real medicine, isn't it time for other medicines to step up the fun? Why don't we have antibiotic chocolates? Penicillin Sour Patch Kids? Get some Lipitor brownies, I don't know. Vape the vaccine, go in for the booster bong, Johnson & Joint, I'm just spitballing.
Oh, so good.
A lot of addictions, but otherwise pretty good. Pretty good. I got
good.
But I feel like that's a good opener.
Right? Yeah.
But I guess this is an hour special, so that's if you're doing 5-minute hits across the country or something, you can open with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's making a turn to like more personal jokes and stories, is my guess, because he started fairly general. Then you go into the personal to sort of build more of a relationship with the audience. Then you go into something more like you need him on your side.
Yeah, that's a good solid
to even
structure.
Attempt it,
Yeah, you got to win the audience over before you can delve into the creepy personal life.
Absolutely.
To my face, which I recommend, because a lot of people are being ghosted, not me. Right to the dome. It's pretty sweet. People complain about being ghosted. I got ghosted again. What a jerk. I feel like they forget the opposite is when somebody firmly tells you why they never want to see you again. And now that I've experienced both, have to say ghosting might be underrated. Just a little. Sure, it's sad when somebody disappears, but you should try having your flaws expressed. By a woman named Beth. Over a hot cup of coffee. But she was very smart, PhD. She kept beating me at board games. I love game night. She beat me at Scrabble, Trivial Pursuit, chess. On the 4th game night, I was like, I brought Hungry, Hungry Hippo. I have a little two-handed flicking technique that is unstoppable. And I brought Uno. I'll teach you the language. And after that, we can arm wrestle. She did defeat me at those as well.
Predictable punchline, but it's still he dragged it out long enough to make it work, I think.
Yeah, I think he has the audience trust for sure.
Yeah.
Already.
I've heard that men are intimidated to date successful women. What they don't mention is successful women less interested in dumb losers. What's up with that, ladies? That's a double standard. Give us a chance. But the biggest argument we got in, I'm embarrassed. She called me out for mansplaining, and I'm sure you guys know what that is. If you don't, I can't tell you. Well, it made me think long and hard about it, and I realized I wasn't explaining anything. We were just having a disagreement, and she didn't like what I was saying. And I do think that's the subtle difference now between a man speaking and a mansplaining, is if you hate what he said. That's mansplaining. If you like what he's saying, that's just a nice man talking.
His voice really makes it work too.
Yeah, he kind of. I hate to pull the reference again, but he goes into that Gaffigan register, like that, that like high pitched sort of female illusion, but not necessarily doing an impression or like becoming another character, but just kind of like edging you towards the fact that it's not his voice.
This is their slightly silly version of themselves' voice.
Yeah.
And just for the sake of thought, I had to wonder about the exact opposite of mansplaining. I think it would be a woman asking questions that are impossible to answer. And she did that a lot. I just don't think we have a catchy phrase for it, like lady riddling. Or woman sphinxing. She asked me, who do you think's cuter, me or my cat? I was like, I thought we were gonna relax tonight. Now I gotta grind. And I'm looking at her, I'm looking at her cat. I can tell there's a lot of wrong answers. And I thought I solved it. I was like, you're both so cute. And she said, no, you have to pick. I'm like, what is the answer? Finally, I said, you're the cutest woman and your cat's the cutest cat? And she was like, that's correct. I was like, that was a close call. That was way closer than anyone realizes. I know there's wrong answers because we were watching her favorite show, Love Island Australia, 1 week earlier, and she said, who do you think's hotter, Courtney or Jess? And I'm like, I didn't even want to be here. I don't even like Love Island, and now I got to choose between the hottest 22-year-old. And I said Courtney, and that was incorrect.
Oh no.
For a month, she was like, yeah, well, you think Courtney would? Yeah, you think Courtney would like that? God. I failed that test. She could never understand why I don't like Love Island. I just can't get myself to care about the relationships of strangers. I have trouble caring about my friends' relationships. I asked my buddy Tom if he was ever open to having kids. He was like, I have a 9 and a 7-year-old. So you're open to it.
Oh man, yeah, that was definitely a decent premise and setup there. I don't know. I'm gonna have to call it at that. But who's your favorite tonight?
Ooh, I have to go with the last comic, Joe Zimmerman. I think would be my favorite special. I'll likely go back to finish up because maybe it's just that southern drawl that it has.
God damn it. Wow. Yeah.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah. I was trying to look up the other names there and just turned everything on. Again, Adam Miller or Adam Muller, our first comedian. He like a good juxtaposition of the two energies there. He had that sort of freight train energy of just, joke machine. Whereas the last guy there was, a good example of slowing things down, but still working it. I think I'm going to go with the first guy, but it is a close call. Both were very well structured jokes and very seems like good stage presence and a lot of stage time and knowing the audience and knowing when to play off the audience and knowing when to take control back. Both of them had those qualities, but just in very polar opposite ways, but they both made it work. But close call, but I'm going to go with the first guy, Adam.
And know that all the links to these full specials are below in the description. So be sure if you're interested in any of these comedians to check out their full specials, give them the views and the likes and subscribes as well to help out. And then
Absolutely.
We'll be coming back at you with even more stand-up comedians to tear down.
Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe to us though too. That's the most important thing. But
that's the key.
You can give those guys some love too, whatever. But us, we need it. We need your love and affection and attention. That's why we're on the fucking internet to begin with, because we lack the love in our personal lives, so we need it here. Isn't that how that works? Isn't that the internet?
100% of the time.
It's the Stand-Up Teardown, conducting comedy